Yeah.
Hello, everyone. We are live on WOLFpak TV. I'm your host, Wendy Fortino, and I am here with the one, the only. I'm calling him King Kai. He is bodybuilder, actor, artist, mostly an artist, I have to say. 3 times people champ at the Olympia, 3-time Arnold champ, and so much more. How are you doing today?
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's up, everybody? It's your boy, K with the AKA. I'm here with you today. Let's do it.
That was smooth.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm
Wendy,
so
it's been a long time. It's been a long time, Mama. It's been a long time. I had to try to force my way onto this program.
Yeah.
Fighting and stuff. Hey.
We're trying to line it up for a little while. I usually like to put together a little kind of montage because I want to make sure that, we get caught up, we honor you, and everyone knows everything that's going on up to this point. But I found this one that was already put together, and it was by Muscle Factory. And I want to play it just to kind of warm everyone up to you and warm you up to yourself. And then we're just going to get right into it. Okay.
Like many men, there are heroes. The heroes that motivates you to achieve something, to become someone more than just a human being. And here's the story about a man which came from nowhere and became a hero.
Saw this guy come from the gutter. He's like the Mike Tyson of bodybuilding. He came from a boys' home, broken family, not a dime in his pocket.
He didn't have the money. This was a man who was living on a limited budget. And here he was now, one of the top bodybuilders in the world.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, he's focusing on this win. He's worked very hard with very little resources.
He doesn't have a cush lifestyle. He doesn't drive around in a nice Mercedes-Benz. This guy is literally the Rocky of bodybuilding.
If it snowed outside, if it was raining, we still got to go to the gym. I cut school, I'm going to the gym. I'll cut school, I'm going to go to sleep. If I meet the end of the world tonight, I'm in the place that I want to be, right here in the gym.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Predator, Kai Greene.
Tremendous power, that just rests in your hand, whether you're a king or a slave.
Every time you spend time with Kai Greene, you feel like you're a better person.
I encourage you to be of good courage, be of good faith, be of good confidence. Step forward, and you can achieve your dream. Remember, the choices are yours. You can make anything be what you want it to be. You think it and it happens. You think it and it happens.
Here he is a man who grew up with no parents, went from foster home to foster home, and he was kind of happy in a sense to be doing what he loved the most.
World Classic Champion, Mr. Kai Greene.
Because I believe this to be the most important pursuit of my life.
He's an unbelievable champion, Kai Greene. Is that a dream? Yes. Can it be done? I believe so.
Wow. Chills.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm going to start off by saying this, okay? We talked about some of the things I want to talk about from this clip, but I just want to say, there's always been this major fascination with you, and I would say your art transcends all of the things that people want to know about what lies beneath you, because it's like whenever someone's at the top and they're kind of mysterious, there's always going to be this like, what is going on with Kai? Like, what is going on in his life? And people come up with all these conclusions and they form all these narratives and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you're in control with your artistry. And I just want to put that out there. So after watching this, like, tell me what you're feeling from that.
Wow, I think that was really cool. I mean, anytime you get a chance to witness someone taking the time to put countless, you know, reels and video footage together, chronicling some of the places that you've been and some of the experiences that you kind of lived through that were very, very important to you. I guess when you get an opportunity to see someone go and edit that kind of stuff and spend a
Right.
lot of time and energy to tell that story, paying such attention to detail, because you can't put stuff together like that without, you know, really wanting to do it. And what we just got a chance to see was like masterfully put together. So I guess first thing that I'm very flattered, and there's a part of me that appreciates the effort and work that went into just scripting that up and putting it together. It's
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'm honored and deeply moved,
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
what I could say.
Yes, I would be too. Somebody put something like that together for me. Someone just asked a question. This is actually interesting because it's kind of along the lines of what we're talking about and what I was just about to say. But someone asked, what's your favorite of his quotes? And I actually wrote this down. Okay. I wrote this down. Kai, you said, I think this is in your bio, but you said, I cannot change what people think of me, only what they witness.
Mm.
And that's kind of what we were talking about before, right? It's like people are going to create their own narrative based off of what they see, and they don't necessarily know what's going on beneath all of that. So I know we're going to just like jump all over the place, but like,
Oh,
let's rewind,
goodness.
because you came into the bodybuilding scene in your teens, and you were, there were different stories like surrounding why you came into bodybuilding, what happened, or whatever, that's your story to tell. And then you started dancing, and you did a lot under a microscope, but you maintained kind of some privacy, so that allowed people to kind of form their own narrative of what they wanted you to be. So take me back there and how that felt for you.
Wow. So I consider myself to be one of those people that are just fascinated with the sport, and I got a chance to enter the sport at a very young age. I come from a time when it was very common, when on the road to trying to see your larger dream of pro bodybuilding stardom, realize that you got a chance to start it, start working toward it from a very young age. I think I wanted to do the teen nationals. I started competing long before I was qualified to go to the teen nationals. I didn't actually make it to the teen nationals as a competitor. I did watch as a fan and an inspired enthusiast of the sport. I went the year that I went to watch the Team Universe. I saw other athletes that were working toward, one day becoming, pros as well. I saw them as teenagers at the Teen Nationals. The year I went as a fan and spectator, I saw Branch Warren, middleweight, win the Teen Nationals as a middleweight. It was just crazy. He looked amazing, and that was a time when there were like a bunch of teenagers that were crazy. You just knew that at some time, these were going to be the new pros, the dominant figures and forces of a new era. That same year, I went to the Teen Nationals. I saw a teenager that was competing in the heavyweight team. This dude was 240 pounds, across striated quads, and just ridiculous muscle, and he was like 18. He later went on to become Mr. Olympia multiple times. This guy was Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine was competing at the team nationals that year. His name was Julio Rivera.
Yeah.
Um, Caprice Murray, Rodney
Mhm.
St. Cloud. There was a lot of one day, really awesome pros that were competing as teenagers, and I count myself to be um, fortunate enough to be one of those kinds of
Mhm.
athletes that got a chance to kind of figure out what they wanted to do early. It also means that I was probably paying my
Yeah.
NPC card dues
Yeah.
since being a Pee Wee team,
Yeah.
and I got a chance to kind of grow up in the sport. You got a chance to see this thing from a lot of different angles that
Mhm.
kind of make, I think, my perspective and overall takeaway of the sport, you know, interesting to
Yeah.
say the least, and certainly my own.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of talk about I mean, I've Generation Iron was like that came after Pumping Iron. Obviously I watched that just like everybody else, and yeah, that was
Yeah,
amazing.
shout out to Vlad Newton,
Yeah.
my crew over there. They be doing it, getting it done. Yes,
That was
sir.
awesome.
Yeah.
And there were storylines for every bodybuilder, and the storyline for you is, your struggle, you know, how you wouldn't live a flashy life, you struggled, and that is a narrative that kind of has been with you. So take me back to that. I mean, take me to, you entering bodybuilding. You're talking about paying your NPC dues and, being a teen and struggling and stuff like that. And I mean, take me back to that and how you and just at what point you realize like this is gonna be my big break. This is gonna be my thing that breaks me out of this.
Well, I wanted to turn pro from the word go. I remember being young enough to identify that you got to start doing
Yeah.
something in a very devoted way if you're ever going to aspire to do really well
But
at
you
the
knew you
doing.
were good. You knew you were genetically gifted.
I
You didn't have
don't. I
to
wouldn't. I wouldn't say that because I don't. I don't. I don't place a lot of focus on genetics as a personal discovery that should confirm whether or not you invest in doing your best. I think most people don't know whether or not they're genetically gifted or not in the
Okay,
beginning.
really fast. I'm just gonna say, I remember when I was in 5th grade
Mhm.
and I had no idea that I was really athletically, gifted until we
Mhm.
did a foot race. So all the kids, and I was beating all the boys, and I was like, I
Mhm.
think I'm fast. Like you have
Mhm.
a feedback loop at some point. You're in the gym in junior high and you're lifting heavier than the other kids, and you're like,
Mhm.
am I stronger? Like that kind of feedback loop. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Well, I think, at least for me, my personal experience was not one of those things where um, I thought I was genetically gifted. I think in the beginning, I just knew I wanted to. I think you kind of identify, this is what I want to do, or
Okay.
and I think the information, the feedback loop is that at least on the surface, the doing of this thing or the spectacle of what this thing represents is enough to intrigue me, fascinate me, sit me down, and make me want to pay attention and long for more of it. Now, I think for a lot of people, that is it. That's not, most of us are not born, finding ourselves a way to be hooked up to biofeedback equipment, expensive, equipment to discern whether or not we have genetic predisposition to do
No, I
something well
know.
or not. It's like, hey, well,
Yeah.
listen, I know that I did this thing, I did a little bit of it, and there's something about when I did it that I felt better or more comfortable
Mhm.
within myself for doing it. And
Right.
within that, when you thought about what it could take to supply myself with more of it, and through that feel better,
Yeah.
see things a little clearer, and find myself somehow improved or believing myself to be um, better capable
Mhm.
to cope with whatever the circumstances were.
Yeah.
experiencing a little bit of control, at least there, where in doing this thing, I can kind of see myself doing better at it. You know, if I
Yeah.
got down to do 10 push-ups and I only got 8, but damn, when I did those push-ups, this feeling like, you know, I'm gonna try to do 10 more. I'm gonna try to do 10 more. And it's like, wow, before you know it, I can do 20.
Yeah.
And the quiet confirmation that if I work at it, I can improve. And it's not a question of maybe, but it can happen and it will.
Yeah.
I think in that there is a development of understanding what faith is. You know, there's an expression of a visit to what can start to make sense of a lot of things that can only exist as theory, I guess, until you find a reason to apply it.
Okay. All right. You know what's really fascinating about you? I'm sure you know a lot of things that are fascinating about you, but I'm going to tell you.
Come on with it. I want to hear it. Preach to me.
I'm coming.
My soul needs some of this today. I need some Wendy. Give me some.
Dude,
let's go.
You're going to get some. Okay. Here's the thing. You have this very unique, fascinating way of totally removing yourself from acknowledging feedback loops that are obvious to your talents and your gifts and your abilities. And I think that maybe maybe by design, because maybe you don't necessarily want to feel like, you don't want to absorb that and become like arrogant or whatever, right? But there's no denying your artistic talent. You have to know that, you see things when it comes to posing, when it comes to art, with music, when you draw, whatever. I mean, you're able to create things from your mind that other people just can't. And that is something that you probably subconsciously acknowledge it, but you don't want to consciously acknowledge it. You don't want to say it out loud because you don't want that to be something that people define you by. Like, oh, I'm going to think now that Kai thinks he's better than other people. So you're like almost moving that from the equation. But same thing, when you enter the bodybuilding world and you're dominating and you're succeeding at a rate that other people aren't, and you're seeing things that other people can't see with, kinesthetic intelligence, that, intelligence comes in many forms, and yours is like artistic, kinesthetic, and you're going through, this journey, and you're discovering that there are gifts and talents that you're working hard at, but they're driving you to a level that even if somebody worked as hard as possible, they wouldn't be able to get to those levels. And I find it fascinating that you have this, and I've watched you do podcasts, I've interviewed you before, I've seen you, and you really do remove yourself from acknowledging that. And I find it very fascinating. Do you recognize that at all?
Remove yourself?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of times people may give you more credit, or sometimes I think trying to wrap your head around what's happening sometimes is a very interesting thing to do. So you get this
I love to do that.
This moment to try to process, right?
Yeah.
Now I've never been the smartest person on the planet, the sharpest knife in the drawer, but there is something to be said for identifying some things that kind of make sense when you take it apart and just look at it. And it's, it's lowest common terms. I think that long before someone can identify whether or not they see you as genetically gifted, the truth is there's time to experience the opportunity that you discover that you're not so genetically gifted. A lot of times the things that people will relate to as, this person is genetic. Wow, you have blessed genetics. Yeah. A lot of times they don't see the work that you've done.
I get that.
10 years before they got a chance to see you. And what happens is they don't even understand to what degree you were willing to work because of whatever trauma you were dealing with, and how that became a coping mechanism for you. There are people, and the reason why I'm at least adamant about that is because a lot of times what people will dismiss as, well, maybe I don't have the right genetics, or maybe you have something that I don't have, and it's got to be genetic. is usually an effort to kind of, minimize
Yeah.
a lot of the other valuable pieces of information that are just otherwise missing from the equation.
Totally.
So the work, you get a kid that decides that, yo, man, I got to do something. I would love to do martial arts or something, but where I'm at, just seems like the inroad opportunity to getting there, to get some training in that direction just doesn't seem to happen. But the truth is, the beautiful thing about our experience when we talk about our fitness journey, you can start it right where you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you know or what you don't know.
Right.
You could just start by doing whatever you think
Yes.
you can do and do that to the fullest of your ability. And ultimately what can happen is, as you do that, there is the expression of the fact that you appreciate doing that. And,
Yeah.
And in that comes the opportunity to send a message out to the world,
Yeah.
and the world responds to you in kind, like, oh yeah, that's that kid over there, that the 9-year-old that likes to do those push-ups and stuff. He can
Yeah.
do push-ups on upside down. He can do push-ups on his fingertips. Yeah, where'd you get that from? I don't know. I saw a karate movie. I wanted to be a martial artist. And I saw these kids that were like 4 years old, and they were Shaolin monks, already lethal weapon practitioners, at some exotic skill set that I hadn't developed yet, or had no clue of even how to do that. But you understood that at 9, yo man, I would love to be like this 4-year-old that I saw that's elite level martial arts practitioner. But you know what? I'm gonna do some of these push-ups right here, and I'm just gonna, I did 10, I can do 15. Yesterday, I 2 weeks ago, I could barely get 4. And eventually, you can become a master at doing push-ups, and other people in your neighborhood or in the institutional facility or wherever it is that you are, whatever corner of the world that you live in, whether you live under a rock, whether you live around the block. The truth is, I think when you begin to like kind of do the thing that shows in the doing of the thing, the commitment, the expression, the magic that it at least represents for you, I think there's some very interesting things that happen, because whether or not you know about genetics or laws or physics, or whether you know about complex science, and whether you're able to talk about kinesiology and exercise science and nutrition, or truth is, you're doing this thing. And when you do this thing, you feel inspired, and you feel your ability to kind of connect with the doing of this thing, and it makes you feel better. And as you feel better, you almost feel like you're in control,
You do. You really do.
and in time, I think that evolves into something more. And that more, I think, becomes the expression of potential.
Yes.
This potential is something that I don't think necessarily, you are born understanding, but you're willing to do. And through this doing, or doing this thing, you can kind of have it revealed to you that, yo, man, you're a lot more than the limitations and a lot of the other things that people will sooner tell you, should limit you. I think there's a bold audacity in hope that, you may not know when you're 9, 10, 13, 15, that, yo, man, to do these push-ups in this way is an expression of being a very hopeful, very proud, very independent thinking young person, but it is. And I think later on you can discover some very interesting things about yourself that I think can help you.
Yes.
In ways that it becomes very, 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 very difficult to kind of like explain, or at least accept the explanation when it's given to you. Like, yeah, it's your genetics. You knew that all along. You just had great genetics. No,
I get
most
that.
people don't know that they have good genetics or not. In
Right.
fact, most people probably, even the person that you may think should have known from the beginning that they have exceptional genetics, that person was probably looking at someone else, looking up to someone else years before that, going, wow, they have exceptional genetics. And you know what? Me, man, I wish I could be like that guy.
I
But they
agree with
did.
you. I agree with you for the most part. for the most part, but there's a little teeny thing that I don't. Okay. Two things can be true at the same time, right?
Okay.
I think that you can, for example, I'm 5 feet tall. Okay. I could have all the passion in the world to want to be a professional basketball player, but it's probably not in the cards for me, right? At 5 feet tall, I could be the most, hardest worker in the room, but like I can't dunk on a girl that's 5'10", 5'11", right? So it's probably, so that's like an example of what I'm talking about. But like subconsciously, when you're trying to succeed in something, you're searching for the things that follow what maybe subconsciously don't realize are your gifts. And when you're a true artist, like I'm an artist also. So when you're an artist and you're somebody who sees things in a way that maybe other people don't see them, you don't even maybe realize that you do, but you're gravitating to something that allows you to express yourself using what you feel that you have inside, and you're putting all of your work and your effort into it. So those are the two things that can be true at the same time. It's not to dismiss the hard work. It's the two things are true at the same time. Somebody who is gravitating to something that caters to internal gifts that they were given, right? We're all chosen with gifts that we have. Everybody has gifts of some sort, and you find them within subconsciously maybe, and you're living them out, you with your artistic ability, and you're honing that in through your craft, through the hard work, through the dedication. And that's what I think, happens over time when somebody's really on that quest to find their purpose and what they're really here to do. Right. Does that make sense?
I can hear you. I can hear what you're saying. I'm a step back, because you know what? I mean, I'm one of them people that grew up in a place where they said 90% of you guys ain't supposed to make it. You know what I mean? I have an 8-inch scar down the right side of my face that I've had for a very, very long time. And as sure as I'm standing here in front of you, I know that my testimony is that I have experienced some things that make it very, very, very real and true to me, that I believe in the fullest breadth of my being, that there's something to be said for what we may call a gift. I think a lot of times can discourage other people that hear that terminology and say to themselves, hey man, that's very discouraging. People will talk about talent and say, hey man, you know what? Talent is something that, you're either born with or born without. And if you've just been born without it, then well, that sucks for you, But I live in a place where I believe that there's more to being than just that. I believe that I am a creator.
Yeah.
And I believe that for the sake of being a creator, the truth is you're able to not just have to accept the situation and circumstances that you feel you are forced to inherit, but working with the things that you accept that you can't change. You can discover a wonderful universe of possibility that depends on what you're willing to do despite that.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you can create some very interesting takes on the reality that you'll find is very, very, very uniquely tailored by yourself. I think the situation and circumstances don't necessarily make the man or woman. I think that, it is through these things that we can see the man or woman revealed, to themselves. I think my experience is one of those things that's kind of helped me discover a little bit more of what I wanted to be. And I think the effort to work, the reason why it's important to work is because what people may call nature, in the beginning, my natural state didn't look anything like ultimately what I was able to forge, from just being able to work, develop a concept, and be able to discipline my thinking and actionative follow through. Like my physique, it's less the genetics and more to do with, deciding that I'm going to make things happen, and I'm willing to I think that, it's not enough to tell people that, hey, look, well, you just either have the genetics or you don't.
Yeah, and I don't want you to think that I'm
Yeah.
trying to stress genetics. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
dig deep in here. And I definitely am not dismissing any of the hard work at all. I mean, I'm just, for conversation's sake only. Believe me, I get it. I definitely would never want someone to be like, oh yeah, Kai's just like this because of genetics, because clearly you have to go through a lot of shit to get to this point.
Yeah, I think, you may have to just go through a lot of shit just to get anywhere. There are people that would imagine that, hey, well, you're a pro athlete today, and that's only because you got all the right breaks. You've got you obviously had access to all the right finances, and ultimately you are, this genetic gift that, and because of these things, you happen to have, you're lucky to find yourself in this position today. And for someone else is there that says, hey man, I might have wanted to do something, with my life and along those lines, but it wasn't in the cards for me because I just didn't have. I think that is uh it's a lie. It's a lie. I heard Branch Warren give a interview some years back, and he said something about, he understood that you can get what you want, but you're gonna have to work for it.
Yeah.
Are you willing to work for it? Now he said it's something like that. Please don't kill me, Branch Warren or Branch Warren fans, putting words in, disciple Branch Warren's
Essence of
mouth.
what he said.
The
Yeah.
prophet Branch Warren. I remember hearing him say that.
Yeah.
And with that was the expression that I thought was consistent with how I saw him
Yeah.
and his willingness to work very, very, very hard.
Yeah.
I remember watching training videos when I saw, and I thought of him as an athlete, um, um, a warrior to compete against. And one of the things that I remember just came through loudly and clearly, watching him, his work ethic in the
Yeah.
gym, it was relentless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a person that's there setting and accepting
Yeah.
excuses for, minimal performance.
Yeah, exactly. I can relate to that because so I was a track athlete before I started bodybuilding, and I was actually training in 2008. I was training for the Olympic trials, and I ran the half mile, and I remember I would get on the line, and like every girl would be like dramatically taller than me, and I trained my ass off. I was always getting hurt. I mean, I was constantly getting injured, but I remember it was like a month and a half before the Olympic trials, and I got a stress fracture on my foot, and I was so depressed. I was so bummed out because I was working so hard, like could not work any harder. And it just felt like no matter what I did, I could not achieve the level that I was aiming to achieve. It was like my body was just not cooperating with me, And I discovered bodybuilding, and I didn't have to. I mean, the judges were telling me you need to back off because I built muscle very easily, but it's not that I didn't work my ass off, but building muscle was something that my body just naturally just wanted to do. Like it didn't come easy for me. It was just, that's what my body wanted to do, wanted to be a bodybuilder, didn't want to be a track athlete. Right. And so that's, I guess that's where I'm going with this. It's not like I'm dismissing the hard work. It's just, it's interesting because there's so many different types of people out there. There's so many different people with different gifts and skills and abilities, and that does not dismiss the hard work. And I'm of the opinion that it's such an awesome thing that we all have our own unique avenue, that if we hone in on it, we can become the best at what we want to be. But it doesn't come without hard work. It doesn't come without honing it in. And when you're on that path and you're trying to discover like where can I take like what I was given, and I can make it the absolute best that I could possibly make it. And I look at you as an artist, like a true artist. I don't know totally your whole dance background, but I know that you were a dancer, and seeing your routines, the way that you flow, you see things and you feel things with your body that it's like on another level that came with hard work and dedication. Tell me about your dance background. How did you become so in tune with your body and creating these masterpieces that you create on stage?
It's I once heard Vince Taylor who was a dude that was like he was a very prominent professional bodybuilder figure in I'd say maybe early 90s, early 90s, late 80s. He was known for doing this awesome Terminator routine at the Olympia. He put together this skit that was technically a story. And
Who is this again?
His name was Vince Taylor.
Okay, Vince Taylor. Okay.
Vince Taylor. And they, would later call him like Terminator Taylor. Some people may have called him at different times, like a version of a Black Panther, dark skin. I believe he looked tall as hell to me because you just had to look up to him. What's that? Yes, yeah, Vince Taylor. Oh, shout out for who was pulling that up. Did you do that yourself, Wendy?
Yeah.
You're good. You're good. That's what's up. Look like you got a team working over there.
It's all me.
That's
One
what's
man
up.
band here.
Let me just acknowledge your technical savvy over there. That's what's up. But this dude was known to be a great, entertaining, posing professional. People all over the sport. When they thought about looking at an entertaining routine, well aware and masterful poser, this was it. This was the guy that stood above a lot of other athletes, of his time, for that reason. And his physique was crazy. I say this though, this dude also said, hey man, I can't dance. Dancing and posing are two very, very, very uniquely different things. And like for the people that are able to dance very well, and for the people that aren't, it still doesn't mean though that you can't be a great poser or find wonderful and instinctive ways to move and to find those intricacies between the poses and make it your own, and give the people pleasure and enjoyment for watching you do it. I think honestly, I don't believe I was born like to be a dancer I think it's just things that I think are important to you. And you can kind of work your way into seeing how you will create your own contribution to the idea of what posing looks like and feels like as it means what it means to you. And there's some times when I think you've been better at doing some cool routines that came out really well based on the fact that, man, you really weren't afraid to take the time to just invest in, maybe exploring another discipline. Now, I did get some dancing experience.
I was going to ask you, I was like, wait a minute, no dancing experience?
Yeah, I mean, but see, that's the thing. It's like, because a lot of times people would imagine that with dance experience, oh yeah, you're gonna be that person that is just born with these gifts and skills, and all of a sudden you can walk into any place, and it's just like you're calling shots. And that was not the case at all. Even with some dance experience and stuff, the truth is, I would still have to go to an Alvin Ailey, dance class, and oddly enough, you walk in there with professional dancers that are doing professional dance grade stuff. And it's like, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, they showed them one time and it's like, they're gone. And it's like, how do you remember that? What is going on? These complex movements and timing. It's like, that's not me. I would be the dude that would come into the dance class. And though I had my own unique ability to kind of like find and feel my way through some really cool things that could probably look very, very well, the first or second time doing it, it did not take away from the fact that if I went to a dance class, at an appropriate level or an inappropriate level, that I would not be able to excel. So you can't walk into a dance class as a beginner level dancer, and think you're gonna walk into, some, what is it, advanced, and nobody's gonna know that you're not an advanced dancer. Like, and I mean, being an advanced dancer means you are working at this
Yeah.
tirelessly.
You have to
You can
train.
feel 8 counts. You know what 8 counts are. You have just you've developed a keen insight into movement. Anyway, long story short, yeah, that wasn't me. Wasn't that guy. I could work on some things. I could make it my own. And I felt like, wow, you know what? Thank you, Vince Taylor, for saying that. Because when you saw Vince Taylor and you saw him move so masterfully and command his he was a performer. This means that he was also an actor. He was a method actor.
Yeah.
So in those moments of while he was performing, like to watch, John Brown pose, or do like his guest posing routines, or to watch Melvin Anthony do his guest
Oh, I
posing.
know.
Shout out to Melvin Anthony and John Brown.
Yeah.
Masterful dudes. Even like the, Sean Ray. Oh my God. If you ever get a chance to see, I could learn so much from watching their posing routine over and over and over again without the music, with the music.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately what happens is, in time and experience and application, what happens is you can tap into something that really becomes your own unique way of expressing. Copied, there were like 3 seconds of like footage of Robbie Robson, the Black Prince,
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
original Pumping Iron film. There was probably 2 seconds of Serge Nubret,
Serge Nubret.
moving from 1 to 2 poses, and it was like there was probably a minute and a half of
Here's Robbie.
there's Robbie, yeah. uh Ed Corney, and to hear, I mean, I used to be a fan of the sport to the extent where, if I got a chance to get my hands on old black and white photos and books that related to the subject, the old Arnold Schwarzenegger encyclopedia of the encyclopedia of bodybuilding was like, and if you can get your hands on any of the video excerpts of these old we were archives of there's just this anyway, I'm saying all of this to say that
You're obsessed.
yeah, man. I mean, really, you could study. There was a guy named Garam Charles who was like, hey man, just amazing to watch. And the truth is, you would probably think, oh well, this guy's just so genetically gifted. I think all of these people, studied enough of the athletes that came before them.
Yeah.
They saw the example, and then with practicing and copying, eventually they would mimic their way into developing their own opportunity to experience their genius, and the beautiful thing about this sport and experience is like, yo man, you can create the situation for yourself where you too can become recognized for doing something that you love in this really intensely passionate way,
Yeah. Yeah. It's your own art, really.
It is an art form. Posing is an art form. It really is. And I think even the lifestyle experience, the bodybuilding experience, a lot of times people want to talk about it with drugs and it's drugs and genetics and it's all these things that are just like, and it's not. I mean, there is love, there is beauty, there is the expression of the magic that you can't qualify with the numbers that relate to just PEDs or just a conversation about, the black market background behind the scenes, unniceties that, they can't speak for the whole sport. They can't speak for the love and the beauty that is represented in this art form,
Yeah. I get that. I totally understand what you're saying, because when you're at the top of your game and you work your ass off and you have literally poured your heart and soul into something, and all you hear is people say, oh, I bet you're so genetically gifted. It's like annoying. It's frustrating because you don't, I mean, it feels like automatically it's dismissing all of the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into this. And that is not to be dismissed. It's like, it's crazy. I mean, only you know your whole journey, but I feel like it's been depicted pretty well through, Generation Iron. There's also your documentary, which I actually haven't seen. Okay. But I will say this. Okay. I did see the trailer, and we can actually watch part of the trailer, because this trailer was intense. Oh my gosh. Let's watch part of it, and then I want to know what your thoughts were on the documentary. Okay. So this was, man, Kai.
Green documentary. Take one. Marker.
Kai is a huge name in bodybuilding. He's the people's champ.
He was a different kind of bodybuilder. Other bodybuilders were showing off fancy cars and fancy homes. Kai had none of that.
That was my introduction into institutional facility living.
Were you scared?
Yes, which was revealing. You don't sing, you don't dance. Did they try you? Yeah. Did you win every fight? No. I felt like my anger would consume me, that there wasn't a place big enough to hold the rage that I had in my heart. This is more than just bragging rights. I'd do push-ups upside down if I could. I'd hang up the ceiling if I could. I did whatever I could do, whatever I thought.
Phil Heath, Kai Greene.
You're talking about the best in the world when you talk about Kai and Phil. Phil came out as a cocky person, but Kai was a genuine guy, the humble kid that came from nothing. I don't think we never have a rivalry like this.
Phil Heath interview, take one.
I killed this dude. I did my...
Yeah. Tell me what you thought about the documentary.
Man, that is like crazy. Shout out to the family over at Generation Iron. And, that was a very interesting process putting together that film. It took longer than we expected. They had this whole issue with COVID, and stuff. I mean, it was very interesting time for everyone.
I bet.
And to one day come to a place where it finally, was finished and being edited, and just very, very, man. Shout out to Generation Iron, Vlad, that whole team over there. They, it's awesome. And you know what's so funny to see the clip that you showed? I mean, there are people that actually had to support the development of your film, the documentary, people that actually had to consent to give an interview and to review some material and to actually be willing to share some of their own personal insight, talking on behalf of what was required and actually do the film. So
a coordinated effort with all these moving parts.
Yeah. Well said, Wendy. Well said. Thank you. Yeah. Shout out to everybody that was a part of that. Even the gentleman that was the dream killer over there, wanted to use knowledge and such. It's a funny thing because technically, it just points out this truth, how, I really do believe that everybody plays a role or a part, in even how you see the telling of your story to unfold.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it is crazy when you think about it, because everyone's talking about you being the people's champ. And I know that it wasn't the actual Sandow, but that is intense. It's a really intense thing when you really wrap your head around it. The fact that I mean, a lot of people, in a lot of people's eyes, you really are the champ. And that's an intense thing in and of itself. And when you take a step back and you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, you're seeing it from your perspective, and that the pain and the hurt and what that must feel like, because you are working so hard for this thing. And then you hear what other people's ideas. And I've had this experience myself where I've been so upset and so down, and I feel like like I've lost. And then I have somebody come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, you looked so amazing. I wish I could accomplish that, or something like that. And it's a crazy moment where you just take a step back, right?
Okay, I respect that. I respect that.
Well, tell
Yes.
me what you think. Tell me your thoughts.
I don't you
You see
know,
it differently.
it's a very interesting thing because, on the one hand, you know, the idea of what it means to win or to lose is like, when you have it, you have no choice but to identify with it and, really take it apart. And so for you, when you've had the opportunity to do that, because it was very important for you to do that, or you might have killed yourself or something. You know what I mean, it was just like you just really needed you really need to do that. The athlete that's really, really committed to his craft and his life's work, and is willing to invest so much, the fan or the enthusiast and the layperson, a lot of times they really can't relate. You just can't, you know.
Yeah.
So, and even the person that believes that, hey, I want to hear the interview. I can understand. A lot of times, man, if you ain't that athlete, you ain't the dude that was fighting with his wife, 3 weeks before the show. And was like, I just have to. I'm so focused on winning that I'm willing to make every investment that a lot of common thinking people would probably not be willing to do in the effort to win. Like an Olympic athlete is focused on improving their game and having the best performance on the day that they're supposed to be, chances are you're not ever going to be in the place where you'd be willing to sacrifice what that athlete would be willing to do. And to have the perfect performance when it counts on the day of the performance,
Right. Well, okay, so there's two things going on. Like the first one is the fact that nothing is going to soothe the pain because only you know what you went through, and obviously that's going to be something that you're going to live with forever, and nobody can understand that because you're the only one who went through that. But then the second part to that equation is just the perspective of like taking a step back and realizing that, the people that are on the outside looking in, they still like think that you're so incredible and amazing, and maybe you don't care what people think, but that has to be a powerful thing, the exchange of energy. You realize that you do serve a purpose in this industry on a bigger scale than maybe what that result might have been, right?
Well, here's the thing with that, at some point you come to terms with the fact that you couldn't lose.
Yeah.
You couldn't lose.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why, because it's not because you don't accept the results. It's not because, you can steal the election if you choose to, or not. Say it didn't exist, just because it makes you feel better. But because at the end of the day, this is kind of what happens. You kind of at some point you realize that, in the beginning of this journey, you didn't know. You didn't know about being genetically favored. You didn't know about whether or not, it was even possible to impress your thoughts, put them out there and fully commit yourself to the idea of being able to determine what your future is going to be, and to be able to say with mathematical certainty that if I work and I do these things in this way, I can discover myself to be the creator of my life and my destiny. Like, not questioning whether or not you can, but like, hey, you know what? I will say what I'll put in my mouth, what I won't put in my mouth, where I will go, where I will not go, what I will do and what I will not do. And ultimately, I can so order these things to create for myself the thing that I say that I want, which is the control and the success possibility of what will happen with my use of this miracle called my life.
Right.
There's a lot of people that would sooner think like, no, I don't have the ability to control that. I don't, I live in this country. The situation is the way it is. You can't change it. You just have to accept it. No, I don't have to move anywhere else. I'm not gonna challenge anything, and I just accept, and that's it. I live as a victim. But instead, you discover that you can decide where you want to go, decide what you will become and who you will be in this life, and move in that direction, and as you do, you discover more and more working in that path that you determine who you are, and you write this story, of who you want to be, and you tell this story to the world, and then before you know it, the world will tell it back to you.
Yeah.
You know who you are. They will call you by the name you tell them to.
Yeah.
They will identify
Give
you
me
as.
chills over here. Give me chills. Yes.
So if you discover those things and realize that in this lifetime you are the power broker that you hoped you could be, you wished you could be, but more importantly, because you were willing to work, at the end of this work, you discovered, oh shit, I did that. I wasn't the victim that just had to accept where they were, it can, even by doing something as simple as just some push-ups, were able to discover that they could move, not only themselves up and down from the floor, but they could move mountains, and teach the world how to say their name with a reverence and respect. So yeah, I think with saying that, you can discover that you didn't lose. You can't lose.
Yeah.
You gain, for your effort, you gain opportunity to, it's just kind of hard to even say. I mean, everywhere I choose to look, I see blessings and opportunity that hunt me down now for the sake of just being so bold and daring to love as deeply as I chose to do publicly when working for the goal of winning on stage, so yeah, it's nice to be able to say, I won every fight. I beat everybody's ass, I mean, there's some butts you kicked. There's some butts you kicked mercilessly, worthy adversaries that were good, that were great, yeah. And even the dream killers got their ass kicked too. You gave some ass kickings. So yeah, I think but ultimately you learned a lot. And at this stage in my life, I realized with some of the new challenges that are set in front of you, it takes some of the lessons learned from these more trying experiences before you to kind of get, oh shit, yeah, I got hope, I got optimism, and I'm able to keep working and now do more of the work that I really, really, really want to do and need to do at this stage in my life with the quiet confidence that, even the impossible, is attainable, with the right, mindset and focus.
Right. Which we haven't really talked much about. I'm gonna have to bring you back. Like this is like a multi-part series going on here. Okay, I want to talk to you about. I'm gonna have to extend this a little bit, okay? Because I have a couple things I want to talk to you about.
Oh,
yeah, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Let's go, Wendy. Let's get
it. First of all, I want to know: have you ever had a chance to like look around YouTube and see what people, like big time YouTube channels, are saying about you? Have you ever like?
Wow.
I
thought you were setting me up for it. I thought you were right now. You said that, I just about to ask me, did I actually get an invite to the Diddy party? I thought that's where you were going. I really did. I really did. I thought she just was about to lay it on me.
That's between you and
the ambush. Like, snap.
I don't need to know about that. Okay, now I'm going to be a little bit more direct here. I found the Patrick Bet David podcast. He had him and his colleagues. They were talking about you. And I just was wondering if you had a chance to check that out. But take a look at this. This is really funny. And it might, if you haven't seen it yet, it might maybe make you chuckle. And then we'll...
I'm nervous.
Well, let me see how much he weighs. Off season, this guy is 310 pounds.
How tall?
He's 5'8".
Yeah, I was going to say.
He's about 5'8".
Have you seen what he looks like? Kai's physique.
Let's pull him up.
Can you put
Kai, you gotta beat us to the punch
He's
on
got
this.
your name,
man. Like punch on this guy.
So he sits there, and he has this, this lunch for 5 on his own. He sits there.
Lunch for 5 for 1.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, I know.
He's a small guy.
He's got the beautiful rat tail.
He's a small dude, and so we get done. We get done with that lunch, and we go on to the VIP room in the CPAC Center. And about an hour later, we're in that room, and he's like tooling around the room, and he's looking in the little, they have the hors d'oeuvre things. And I said to Aaron, "What's he looking for?" He said, "He's hungry." I said, "He's hungry."
Yeah.
He just ate enough fucking food for about 30 people.
Yeah,
he's hungry.
That's sensible. Again, if
let the boy eat.
Let the boy eat. That's him.
But they do, they have 6-8 meals.
Oh my God. So he was setting that up because he was trying to explain that, the bodybuilding diet of eating 6 meals a day is really healthy and why. And he was, pulling you in as an example, like, look at, this is how this guy who's like the most phenomenal physique eats and da 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 da. Anyway, have you seen that? That was funny.
That is, I learned earlier in my career that as a teenager, it got to like some really, I got a chance to like, hear some really awesome champions and, share with me some very important lessons. Like, and it's funny because, armed with a lot of those things, I think really it helped you make the most of what you had available to you. And I think that you can discover in time that, with enough desire, you can create the opportunity for people to later see you as genetically gifted without necessarily getting a chance to see what you were without that. In the very beginning, there was no, the potential, I think, the potential possibilities, I think, were just like what could be if you really were willing to work. But, the people that kind of let you know. I learned early that the best growers were the best eaters. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. They weren't even talking about your genetic gifts. They were just like, hey, look at this guy eats like this and look at what he looks like. And that was the preface to them going into the bodybuilder diet.
How many times have you ever met someone that will tell you, hey, write out a diet strategy for me. I want to try to put on some muscle. I want to try to gain a little bit of size in my arms and my chest. And it's like, okay. So let's start thinking about that. Okay, so you're going to have to start thinking about eating like every 2.5 hours. Let's talk about the math here. We try putting that together like 5-6 times a day. And immediately like, what? Mm-hmm. Stop you and say 5 times a day. Like, no, you don't understand. I eat a lot. And it's like, you eat a lot? Like, yeah, I eat a lot. And it's like, okay, so 5 times a day, 6 times a day, 6 meals a day, that probably shouldn't be a problem. No. That's too much.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand. I eat a lot, but like, it's like one meal. It's like 2. And it's like, yeah, but you don't understand. There's a system that you have to be, you have to apply here in an effort to strategically kind of maximize your opportunity to advance strategically in the direction that you want to go. And it's like, oh, no. It's easier for me to stand in my own way. I don't need to adapt, some, high, some other way of eating that's just not, it just feels totally foreign to me, but the best growers I learned were the best eaters. You saw people that didn't eat, they didn't grow. And they weren't big people. It was like, no, you don't understand. Go to any famine-stricken country where the calories are minimal. One thing you don't see is genetically big people. You know what I mean? I don't care what we genetically big boned in my family. No, you got to learn. That if you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be getting smaller. You're supposed to be dieting. You're supposed to be, minimizing that. If you coming into your check-ins with your coach, and you're like 20 pounds heavier, in the last 6 weeks of working with that coach, and you're supposed to be on experiencing the opposite, chances are you're getting in your own way. We don't have to talk about, so learning how to eat, and you shouldn't have to learn the same thing over and over again. Look, man, you need to eat more. Hey, man, you want to put on more muscle? Hey, man, you want to put on some more size? Hey, man, you're going to have to eat more. I remember getting that. It was very clear before anybody talked to me about, hey, you need to do PEDs. You need to do this and that.
You need to do whatever it takes. How about eat?
Right. How about
Yeah.
eat?
Yeah.
Hey man, how about not just eating, but how about being able to come up with a
Yes.
strategy and follow it? Not
Yes.
keep every time we talk about it, we have to relearn the same. Yeah, you need to eat. We told you that 2 years ago. They told you that 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And now you're still here, you know, not implementing any strategy that's going to move you anywhere closer to the goal that you said you want. You just waste your time. Anyway, I'm saying this to say that you had to eat, you had to eat, and you had to eat. And with that, I learned how to eat like a machine. I remember Sean Ray wrote an article. It was published, I believe, in Muscle and Fitness. This is
And you
before
had a big
Flex
steak in
Magazine.
your mouth.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I mean, but you know what? I got to those places because I learned that, yo, man, you need to eat.
Yeah.
Eating is like, you need to eat like a machine, not to the place where, no, I can say that I felt satisfied or
Yeah.
I felt comfortable for me. Truth is, I didn't get where I wanted to be yet. I was still a success possibility looking to happen.
Ooh,
And the
that was
only way I
good.
could start to see that realized was to
That's good.
get on that eating strategy. So yeah, in time, yeah, it didn't matter where I started. Because in the beginning,
Yeah.
where I started, there was no, people weren't looking at my potential physically and saying, wow, you got awesome genetic. They weren't saying it. In the beginning, you know what they said? They didn't say anything because they weren't looking at me. They didn't care. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
People, a lot of times, they don't care what your potential is. You have to care about your potential. You have to be willing to want something to materialize of your life so badly that you're willing to invest your best and to do it now because it's important to you.
Yeah.
Period. So when you had the friend or the loved one saying, "Oh, come on, one cookie ain't gonna hurt you when you started your diet," and you're like, "Yeah, no, it will." Well, how dare you think so boldly? How dare you think so much of yourself that you're gonna stand here and reject our kindness? We're offering you these cookies and cake on your job, and it's like,
Yeah.
you should be grateful. You should
Yeah.
eat this shit that we're telling you. This
Yeah.
poison that we think we want to share with you that you already identify is not the thing
Yeah.
for you to do. And my goals are important to me. My dream is everything to me. And you
Yeah.
can't kill it. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
judging panel wants to support you and protect you when you needed
Yeah.
to get your ass kicked. It's all good. I get it.
Yeah. And maybe that one cookie wouldn't hurt you necessarily, but you're training your mind to be strong too. And so when you give into something, it's not just that one thing would or wouldn't affect you. It's that you're becoming the person that stays disciplined when you need to be. And then you rely on that. You can count on that. But my full stop to people when they say, "Oh, I want to achieve this, but I don't want to do that." I just say, "Okay, well, this is easy. This is an easy fix because here's your expectation and here's your level of commitment. So all you have to do is lower your expectation and you're good." Like if your commitment is down here and your expectation, if your expectation is up here, then just put your commitment up here. And now you're good. Now you're winning. Now you're going to be where you want to be. It's as simple as that, So as long as you're even, then you're good. Because if you are telling me that you want me to wave a magic wand that I don't have to wave, then it's just not going to happen,
Well, I believe I have a magic wand. That's
Oh,
why I thought I was going to get a message, a letter, or something in the Diddy Party list of things, but it just didn't happen. No, but I mean, really, I do believe I have a magic wand, and that
yeah.
is, when it comes to being able to say, "Yo, man, this is what I want, and this is what I'm willing to do to
Yes.
manifest that. This is what I'm willing to invest my time, my passion, my
That is a
commitment."
magic.
That is the equivalent of a magic wand. A lot of times, though, we're taught not to believe, and we're taught to sooner invest in, having conflicted ideas um, that are more prone to self-sabotage before we even really get started.
Right.
And this is why the reason why I say this is because the truth is we're all teachers or influencers of young children, whether it's children physically or the young at heart. At the end of the day, there is someone that is looking to you for insight and advice and wisdom. And at the end of the day, a lot of times what happens is we don't have it. When we've spent a lot more time digesting a lot of negative, self-destructive, and very limiting beliefs, in our effort to give our best, we'll peddle the same nonsense lie that will sooner hold someone back. the nonsense of like, well, yeah, you probably just don't have the right genetics. Yeah. So you don't even worry about that. Don't hold yourself accountable to like, man, you just heard 3 things that you can do that if you implemented that as a strategy, you could help advance yourself to get to where you said you wanted to go. Sometimes it really is that. Mind is everything.
Yeah.
Don't tell me about genetics yet. Don't tell me about PEDs. Don't tell me about somebody else's magic formula that they selling to you out the back of their car. Look, man, tell me about what you want, and tell me about the idea of recognizing that you're willing to do what it takes to go out there and get it.
Yes.
I think that's really why we respect the athlete, and this is why they want to interview the athlete when the athlete has just crossed the finish line and they're still breathing heavy. And it's like, hey, put a microphone in their face, put a camera. Come on, we want to get it. We want to talk to me, tell me. It's like, well, what is your responsibility then? What are you trying to get from that athlete? They just finished, they crossed the finish line, they crossed first. We want to find out. We want to get it. Tell us, give us the opportunity to be increased by what you have to say. I think in that moment, what needs to be offered is, yo, man, don't believe the lie. There's a lot of lies out there that are just designed to ultimately, if you're ready to hear it, if you're ready to be held back by it, if that's what you're looking for, yeah, man, you can let yourself off the hook. You just probably didn't have the right genetics. You know what? Yeah, man, you can let yourself off the hook. Those dreams you said you had of being successful, financially independent, whatever they are, being married, having the friends, having, successful relationship. Nah, you couldn't have that. You know why? Because you just didn't have the right training. Yeah, your father didn't love you. Your mama wasn't in the picture. Well, guess what? That was just where you were supposed to expect to be. You shouldn't ask for more than that. And you shouldn't damn well believe that it's possible for you to attain more than that. Just accept it. Accept that you're dealing with the mediocrity that somebody like you should just be willing to accept. Nah, man, I believe that you can say, nah, I'm changing that. I want more and I can get it. I'm willing to do the work that it takes to create it. And because I am a creator, made in the likeness of my creator, guess what? Then I'm willing to do what it takes to get it done, and I can do it, and I will.
Yeah.
And you can't kill those kind of dreamers.
Oh, God. Man, your message is very clear. I hear it loud and clear. You are built from scratch, and you have weathered the storm. You've poured your heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears. And you want your message to be that do not limit yourself by anything anyone says, anything that you have been led to believe, that if you really want something, then you're going to make it happen. You're going to do what it takes, and your expectation and your commitment level are going to be even. And I think it's amazing. I feel so inspired. I know people talk shit about the word motivated, but I don't care, because motivated with action is not a bad thing. And I think when I feel motivated, I'm going to say it out loud. I feel motivated and I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to the gym today. I'm going to remember this conversation. I'm going to feel it.
Wow. Hey, yeah, you're in the midst of your competitive season. You got some big things coming up.
I have some business to handle. Yes.
Yes. That's also to hear you say this is like, I'm like, I'm honored and encouraged. Really. I really, yeah. Yeah.
I know you have a lot of business ventures that you're working on. I'd love to talk.
You know what? KI Afro King is the thing. Yes.
So
my
tell
man.
me.
Yeah.
Well, I have something funny to tell you. I went to your profile and I was looking at your bio, and I saw, Hummus Fit, Dark Sport, Chronicles of Kai. And then I saw Mini Kai. And I was like, Mini Kai? What's Mini Kai? Okay, can I?
Is that another Diddy party setup joke? Is that what that is? What's the Mini Kai? Is that?
Did you?
Yo, Wendy, you funny, man. Oh, yeah. Oh, you really talking about Mini Kai? Yes. So Mini Kai. Yeah.
Did you do like you did like these things with this doll? Can you please explain what's going on here?
Well, there was a really interesting lesson that we kind of got. You get these experiences where you start out in some very humble beginnings, but you learn something that feels really good to you, and in the effort to learn how to do it better, you get exposed to a bunch of lessons that, through the teaching of those lessons, you learn how to be a better, masterful player. So ordering the miracle of your life, and you're able to discover that you can create. It didn't matter what you weren't born with, and it didn't matter what you were, what challenges you did inherit. The truth is, you're a creator, and you're capable of, even if you weren't, born to a closely knit, wonderfully well-adjusted family. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't mean that you can't go out and develop yourself and create a family. It becomes your responsibility to imagine that you can create, a successful network of friends that can become, family and support and resource, to do what it takes to allow you to create a better quality life, because that's what you want, and you're not willing to be held back by other issues that we could say, become the reason why we just ain't become better and do more. So, with that, I I started doing push-ups and things by myself. It was something that I just did quietly, my passion, my love, and I was able to develop that into an experience and opportunity that would sooner see me grow into the discovery of myself as a champion and
I
travel
did the
around the
same thing, by
world.
the way.
Yes, this is why it makes sense. And as you hear me, I'm sure this message is not foreign to you. It is a truth that we both know, rooted in a universal truth that, yeah, man, this is possibility, this is hope, this is the audacity of it, and it's true. So I got to travel to other countries, and while traveling through a country, a person had made a gift to me. And there was a sea of people that were there and wanted to take pictures, and but this person stood out because they had made a little funny looking doll in the likeness of Kai Greene. And I remember seeing this doll and thought it was so funny. He had a big head, and had big feet, and he had a little hoodie on, and his head was so big that it really didn't even match. Like the hoodie just was so small that it couldn't possibly fit on his head. I remember thinking, like, wow, this is cute. It got my attention, and the person said that they just made this and they wanted to give it to me as a gift. And this gift was a huge eye-opening thing, because what it did for me was it allowed me to very clearly see, yo, man, I went from doing push-ups in an institutional facility, where I was like thousands of other, young throwaway, pre-adolescent youth, said to be, labeled as the 90% that ain't gonna make it. You know what I mean? The dudes that are gonna do the armed robberies and have every excuse in a half why they never saw anything amount. They never saw anything amount, to the development of their life beyond some hard story of, incarceration and institutional living or death. The idea of peddling this nonsense of thug life forever, and that's supposed to be, yeah, that's you. That's you. No, that's not me. And it doesn't have to be my story. And though you look like you are on a path to becoming one of what they call the negative statistics, the 90% that don't make it, the fact is that, with something as simple as just learning how to do push-ups and taking an investment, making the investment in doing those things that became, a journey in exercise, fitness journey that ultimately, evolved into becoming an athlete. And through my love and passion in the experience of that athletic pursuit, become a champion, and then through that be identified and recognized, in different places in the world where when you go there and visit, other people turn around and say, yo, man, because you cared so much, I care about you. Yo, man, I want to give you this. I want to show you just how impactful, I felt. And I just wanted to share this with you. Yo, he gave me this thing. It was a present, and it was like full circle. Holy shit. It was like, how do I express this? How do I even talk about what the value was that I now had this doll like representation of. It wasn't a representation of likeness of myself, but it was the point. It was the idea that, yo, man, you're doing the push-ups in the institutional facility that somebody else would have said meant nothing. Your ability to be one of those negative statistic, broken dreams that never become anything of value. It means nothing. Your efforts in this life will mean nothing, but yo, man, because you cared enough to want to do that. And through doing that, you were able to see more and imagine more and have the audacity and the expectation of what you could accomplish in your life. You grow beyond that to now, you're traveling around the world, and there are people that are saying, like this guy did, yo, man, I see you. And I wanted to give you this back. This is a reflection of something really awesome that it became a message to me. Like, oh shit. Now, how do you even talk about that? How do you talk about that? So Mikai was something that I developed from that in an effort to be able to talk about what it looks like to invest in the care of yourself. Mikai became like his personality, this underdeveloped personality that was really just looking to, it was you represented the larger hope inside of you, the dream that can't be killed, the better hopeful that you now take patience and share with your kindness and the best that you have to offer to speak to the development of what represents the best of us all, to help. So yeah, that being able to have that conversation and talk about what it looks like, I was taught how to shave in an institutional facility. It wasn't something that you would expect. Well, my dad passed the blade down to me, and I took it and did as he said. It was one of those things that you learn because you need to. Grooming. The ability to take care of yourself. Everybody needs to master that. But now with that, yo, man, I learned how to be patient with myself. I learned how to expect more from myself and to talk myself down from the ledge, and talk myself up when I needed to rise up and to be ready to take on some of those challenges to become the better person that I need to be to experience the kind of quality of life that I want for me. So yeah, Mikai became a concept that I got a chance to start to talk about in some of the stories and things, and I continue to do that. I have a bunch of business ideas that represent another part of my enterprise at this time that are centered around being able to have these conversations through my Mikai experience and Dynamic Muscle Company Comics. I have a bunch of stories and things that I'm working on developing using my art. My passion for storytelling.
Yes.
And yeah, man, Ki Afro King is another thing. Who has music available on Spotify right now? And if nothing else, technically, these become opportunities to talk about, other ideas of what the realization of self-development and expression look like, at this stage of my life for me. And I'm very excited about it. I'm very, very, very happy to have the opportunity that I believe is afforded me. If somebody would have said, probably, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you can't write no stories. You can't tell no stories. Who are you to want to be writing a story anyway? But then you sold more than 1 million ebooks, and you understand, like, oh yeah, I can, and I'm supposed to. And with the opportunity you have to be able to speak to the audiences that will listen, with your willingness to share, ideas that have helped you grow, help you continue to grow, and may actually offer some cool insights to those that are willing to, entertain it. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to be in this place and space at this time in my life.
Yeah. Man, can we follow up once we, when you get everything, like as you continue to evolve all these projects, I want to keep talking about it. I want to keep on top of it.
I get you, Wendy. What's up? I appreciate you even taking the time to give me this moment to be on your platform. I've seen you doing some growing, girl. You like
Thank you.
doing the thing. I saw you interview Sean Ray, and you know what's so funny, man? I mean, I have looked up to Sean Ray for a long time. I mean, I remember watching him when I was a kid, Lifestyles of the Fit and Famous. It was one of the VHS tape videos that, you just didn't, you couldn't find you couldn't find just anywhere. But in it, I remember this dude was training calves.
Yeah.
And his legs was like, it was like next level. I couldn't believe it. He was walking in Lifestyle of the Fit and Famous. This video, I'll never forget it because I watched it over and over and over and over and over and over, more times than I know this guy could ever imagine. Like now, you meet him, you've gotten a chance to work with him, he's been actually a part of like some really cool experiences in your life, both on the stage and off the stage. And as much as you may, you can talk some shit now with him too, because the dude is a serious personality. Serious personality.
He likes to talk some shit. He likes to talk some shit.
Serious personality, but I respect him as an elder.
Yeah.
Funny because he looked younger than me, but him and Dexter Jackson are like the oldest people on the planet. I mean, Dexter's like 177 years old, and let Dexter shave. Dexter looked younger than me. I'm telling you, for real. Like this dude is
no.
That's a guy. That's another guy too. That's like, at the top of the food chain for more than 3 decades.
Right.
And you see him today, and he
still looks amazing. I know, it's crazy. Kai, you're in the same boat. Trust me. I mean, I just saw you in person. You looked incredible. I remember
you just stroking the ego, man. See,
no, I remember.
See, you're gonna make me wonder. You're gonna make me wonder again. Why didn't I get that invite to the Diddy party? Then they didn't
I
even,
know.
They didn't even call.
I wasn't handing out the invites. If I was,
get nothing. Everybody in Hollywood and abroad was everybody. Everybody, not me.
If I was handing them out, you would have gotten one. Okay.
I mean, I didn't get a chance to decline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. What the hell? You don't get to be up on that stand telling your story. That sucks. I'm sorry.
Damn. Yeah, but I might have to get some counseling behind this. I'm just saying, why not me? Nah, I'm just kidding though. I'm kidding.
We can talk about this though. I know you have some stories. We could dive into that next.
Right. Yes.
I genuinely feel like I could talk to you forever, and I'm sure that we will. I just so cherish this connection. Ever since we linked up at the Legion and we got to like spend some time talking. I mean, we had some amazing conversations, and I'm so here for it. I'm following your journey and seeing where you go, and I'm just, I'm in awe, and I'm just here for it. I can't wait to see what's happens next with you.
Wendy, you're awesome. And this is an awesome product. And I'm very, very, very honored and thankful for being able to have an opportunity to sit with you and talk with you today. You are a bright star, Mama. You're doing some awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And this competitive season's got to be good for you just because you deserve it. And I thank you for the opportunity today. You are what's up in my book.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you so much. Well, don't go anywhere. I want to say goodbye to you on the other side, but I'm going to say goodbye to everyone here. Before we do, I want you to have the final word. What would you like to say to all your fans and people who love you so much?
Oh, well, listen, man, I really want to say it is an honor to be able to have you even care about tuning in to listen. It's been a privilege to be able to have this exchange and this opportunity today. You know, I would always want to encourage you to continue to be inspired, you know, when it comes to figuring out what it feels like and what needs to happen in order for you to do your best and to be able to experience a better quality life. You know, you don't have to accept the limitations of whatever despairful thoughts that you can have downloaded or developed, you know, in your travels to this point. If it's in you to want to do better, you can. And if you're questioning that, you know, I want you to know there was a time I questioned whether or not I could be on the cover of one bodybuilding magazine. Like, there was a time I questioned whether or not I could possibly just like develop my physique enough to, you know, maybe one day be featured on the cover of a magazine. And as sure as I know today that I've been able to see myself grow and find that the answer to that question was yes, 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 more than 20 times over, more times than I had, you know, really afforded to be able to say I wanted to be on the cover of some very popular and, you know, awe-inspiring place to be on the top of the food chain magazines in my life and experience. It is possible. Your best is not behind you, it's in front of you. You know, to be up to you to do what it takes to realize that and make it so. But on that note, keep it positive. I would always want to encourage you to let's keep encouraging each other.
Yes. Yes. Awesome, Kai. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, I will see you all on the flip side.